Don't lose your way. Your mind, we have to be as one.
What's going on, YouTube? Or Storm here, coming at you guys another video today. Apologize for the delay on videos. I've had some modem actually died. Our modem actually died a few days ago, so I haven't been able to actually get onto my laptop and record for a few days. Now I'm back. Apologize for the delay, but I know you guys are tired of hearing excuses from me. But I will say though, you guys are in for a real treat because I have 4 duels from locals that I'm going to be posting over the next few days. So you get a little bit more content than you guys are used to. I'm going to post them in. It is using the old ban list. It's not the new format because it was last weekend. And my shop owner over at Cards and Comics, he doesn't implement the new list until it actually takes effect. So they are using old lists, so it's not the new list. So I'm sorry about that, guys. But it actually should be some pretty good matches. There's True Draco. There's some Cosmo. The first match that's going to go up tomorrow is going to be Cosmo True Dracos versus Cosmo True Dracos versus Grass, some kind of Grass Lightsworn invoked deck. Should be pretty interesting. So stay tuned for that. Anyway, today I wanted to cover something interesting, which is link summoning and how to counter it. Now, the main thing with link, we all reach that point where if we don't like a mechanic, we just say, screw it, we're going to counter it. And today I'm going to bring up some cards I think you guys can use when link summoning does come out, because I think because link summoning is going to be a thing, the first thing you need to remember about link monsters is that you cannot make a link monster with a face down monster. This is very important because that means actually, while the link monsters themselves cannot be put face down, putting the monsters your opponent might use to make said link monster face down is definitely not a bad response. Cards like, depending on the situation they're used in, cards like Book of Moon, cards like Evil Swarm Nightmare, can be very disruptive against a link player. So I'm not saying you should main deck Book of Moon, but I definitely think that that's an important thing to remember is anything that puts something face down, like Invoked Raijin, we have Prediction Princess Terratray, are pretty effective against link decks, because link decks have to have, non-link monsters because they're extra deck monsters. So if you're talking about something like Stargrails, for example, if you put some of their, normal monsters face down, it prevents them from rolling and getting the combo going. So it's definitely something to think about. Then we have the counter traps. The important thing about link summons, they are inherent summons. And what I really like about this is that, as opposed to Pendulum Era, it means older cards, which the Horn Trio is actually going to be really good. Now, obviously Solemn Strike is a really, really good card, but I also think it's not going to be at 3 forever. So, definitely, so that's one of the reasons. Solemn Strike is definitely probably one of the best all-around cards to countering link summoning, because it can stop grave effects as well and stop monster effects in general. But I'm assuming it's not going to be at 3 because it is getting its super rare reprint, and typically when a card that powerful is readily available to everyone, that's when it kind of hits up on the ban list, similar to Vanity's Emptiness, Preparation Rites, etc. So I'm entering the Horn Trio. That would be Black Horn of Heaven, Grand Horn of Heaven, and Horn of Heaven. So Black Horn of Heaven was a card that came out in, was a very old card. I think it was Cybernetic Revolution. Basically, it just simply states when your opponent would summon a monsters, you negate the summon and destroy the monster. So the thing with Black Horn of Heaven, it was a really strong card in hat format because it stopped the monsters like Exciton Knight, Giganax, all the powerful XYZ monsters that were running around that format. Black Horn of Heaven countered them absolutely directly. That's what made it so strong. Now it kind of fell out of favor because the main decks that made Exceeds were Teller Knights and Duelist Alliance were Teller Knights and Burning Abyss. But the problem is you can Black Horn their Exceeds monsters, but they're gonna get their grave effects. So that's one of the reasons why Black Horn fell out of favor. But I do think Black Horn of Heaven is actually a really strong card against link monsters. Now, I wouldn't say main board it because we won't have just link monsters running around, but it is pretty effective against link decks. We also have Grand Horn of Heaven. This is a very recent card, came out in Dimensions of Chaos. It stops an inherent summon, including pendulums, but it does let your opponent draw a card, which can be a downside. One of the main rules of Yu-Gi-Oh! Is you don't let your opponent draw cards, but Grand Horn of Heaven also forces them to go to the next phase. So I feel like it's a really among these 3 cards, it's probably the best all around because it covers Pendulum Summons, it covers Mass Summons, and it covers a little bit more, and it does prevent your opponent from killing you that turn if they have a follow-up play. So I do like Grand Horn of Heaven. It's probably, but it definitely, and Horn of Heaven is very similar to Grand Horn, except you tribute a monster, and it can stop normal summons. So a lot of times you're playing a deck like, Star Grails, for example. You probably have a lot of, some decks, the Zodiacs are another great example. You have a lot of extra monsters just hanging around. Horn of Heaven is actually pretty good, and it stops monsters like Denko Sekka, so if you're playing a lot of traps, it stops those normal summons, those Manjus, those Skullcrobat Jokers, any of those normal summon cards. Horn of Heaven stops those cards. There's certain situations, most of the time I feel like a Horn of Heaven and Grand Horn and Black Horn are probably the best, but definitely something to think about in your lineup for answering Link monsters. One thing I think that's pretty effective against Link monsters is actually board wipes. Now, the biggest thing is, like, early on, outside of Star Grails, a lot of the Link monsters we do have, board wipes are pretty effective at breaking their board, and we have them in ample amount in this format. We have Regeki, Dark Hole, Erupted Kaiju Slumber. Kaijus are also very effective at kind of breaking, the firewall lockdowns and the extra link lockdowns, which is something that's kind of a big problem. Is you want to make sure that that's one of the things you want to definitely have and keep in mind, is that that's something that with link monsters, I think the board wipes are pretty effective. They don't always get the job done because depending on if you're playing at Star Grails and they have the spell engraved, it's not always going to work, but it's pretty effective. The other important thing to remember is a lot of early Link decks, because this is the ban list we will have going into Code of the Duelist and some other sets, is that Brilliant Fusion and cards like Brilliant Fusion and Gofu are going to be very good. So you need cards that are going to stop those cards from resolving or even hitting the board in the first place. So a card like Ash Blossom is actually very effective against Brilliant Fusion because it does send cards from graveyard, so you can chain Ghost Ash in response to Brilliant Fusion and negate it completely. Cards like MST and Cosmic Cyclone are very effective against Links as well because Brilliant Fusion. So the basic thing with Links is you want to hit, at least as of now, we don't have a lot of kick cards that kickstart the mechanic because it is early on. You want to hit those cards that people play that kickstart their engine and get it going. Cards like Brilliant Fusion, cards like Gofu, you want to keep those cards from resolving. So I do think Ash Blossom is definitely a card I feel like will still be relevant going into Links because Brilliant Fusion will be everywhere. I've seen some nutty combos, and it's not just Seraph Knight. There was the combo I saw on Lithium's videos where, what did the guy do? He sent Block Dragon to the graveyard, then summoned Block Dragon out of the grave, and then he searched Fossil Dyna off of Block Dragon, and then special summoned the Fossil Dyna with Firewall Dragon's effect. Like, it's just nuts. But overall, I feel like that's something you need to have because Ash Blossom is still like, I feel like Ghost Ash is still like a very effective card against Links in general because of all the engines that people play that kickstart the engine and get it going, like the Predaplan engine. If you Ash Blossom, then it can pretty much end their entire turn in a lot of cases. So definitely something to keep in mind. So anyway, guys, about comes to end the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what cards you guys are going to be playing against Link monsters when we do get the mechanic late in July. And anyway, guys, always thank you guys for watching. So Orstorm signing out.